you ask for, you ask for everything that you want, akhirah or dunya or this life, and you leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you what is best for you. As long you are not asking, making any dua of something haram, that you're asking for something that is, again, it's not halal, it's not lawful. As long you're not doing that, there is no limit. You're asking the Almighty, so there is nothing too big for Him or too much or too hard or too difficult. You just ask and ask big, and let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you what is best for you. So the dua is really the neglected or forgotten ibadah. It's very essential. People, they don't understand it. People, they don't do it. They don't take advantage of it, unfortunately. But it is powerful tool in your hands. It is Allah does not like it if you're not asking. So it's not the other way around. You cannot say that it's not like dealing with people that we don't want to ask people for things. No, this is dealing with Allah. It's the other way around. He does not like it if you're not asking. Because if you're not asking, as if you're saying that I can rely on myself, I don't need help, and that's bad. So people should intensify their dua. Of course, priorities for our dua is for us. It's a dua that we make in every rak'ah, which is to guide us to the straight path, to guide us to the best decisions in life, to empower us to fulfill our mission to the best of our ability, to give us the resources to fulfill that mission, to give us the resources to be self-sufficient and not in need, and actually to even have more so that we can do and give more fi sabilillah. So that's in brief. Dua, very powerful tool. People should take advantage of it, should do it persistently, should do it sincerely, should do it with full trust, because this is not a person who is trustworthy that has some resources, and you know, if you ask that person, they will not let you down. This is Allah. So when it comes to trust, when it comes to power, when it comes to everything belongs to Him. So we need to do it persistently, do it the right way, sincerely, with full trust and confidence, and do it just as an act of ibadah to show our dependence on Allah. Now, what are we going to get? We should be happy with it. If Allah gives us what we ask for, that's great. If Allah gives us something else, that's great. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reserved for us on the day of judgment, that's great. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes that dua and makes it a reason to spare you something bad that was coming your way, that's also great. Even though we will never know that, we will never know what was coming our way, but we will know it on the day of judgment. We'll know that our dua protected us against a lot of bad things that were coming our way.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Very appreciate it.
Dr. Suhail, can you talk about Hajj? We are in the season of the Hajj, and because we are not there, what we should do right now, in these days of Hajj?
I mean, these are unfortunately underestimated blessed days of the Hajj, because if you see what Muslims do in Ramadan, especially in the last 10 days, and you compare them to what they do in the 10 days of the Hijjah, there is a big difference, even though the days are equally blessed. Scholars say these are the best days of the year, like the nights of Ramadan, the 10 nights are the best nights of the year. Those nights, they have Laylatul Qadr. These days, they have the day of Arafah in them, and the day of Adha, one of the biggest days of the year in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's the same. We should approach them with the same spirit like the 10 days in Ramadan. Like people should roll up their sleeves and embark on intensive spiritual work, spiritual exercise, salah, qiyam layl, fasting. The Prophet ﷺ used to fast all these days and until the day of Arafah. Fasting, salah, Quran, dhikr, dua, sadaqah. Um, so that's for those who are not in Hajj. Of course, Hajj is also another misunderstood ibadah. Alhamdulillah, things are start to change in the Muslim world and the Muslim communities, etc. But for a long time, people were thinking that Hajj only is for the old people, very old, that you are retired, you are, etc., or for the rich, which is not true. At least for the old, people were under the impression that Hajj is not for the young people. So that is changing, and mainly changing in the Muslim community here, because Muslim community here, they don't have that restriction. In most Muslim countries, you have to apply for Hajj, and the government will prioritize older people to be on the list. So Hajj, if you didn't make it yet, you should have the intention from now that next year you will do it. And then I have heard time and again from people who made that intention, and things were made so easy for them. Even things that were obstacles and things that were looked impossible, they were removed, and their path was paved towards Hajj. So and that confirms what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. So those who strive in our way, we will guide them or will help them in. So again, remember what you have done towards the last 10 days in Ramadan. That's what you should be doing these days with the same intensity, with the same spirit, that this is a great season that I don't want to miss. These are great days for ibadah. So season, it's like shopping season. You miss it, you have to buy the same thing later on, but at a much higher price. So it's like shopping season. So people have to, again, take it the same with the same spirit like the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And anybody who did not perform Hajj yet, you should keep making that intention, sincere intention, and start planning and saving, and that next year I'm gonna do it. Now, you are not able to do it next year, you keep that intention and that determination for the year after until it happens. Again, it's not there is no, it's not required that you have super rich, that you are super rich. It's just if the Hajj money does not harm your finances or your family, that's it. So people, unfortunately, sometimes they embark on, they buy a lot of things they don't need, but when you talk to them about Hajj, they say they cannot afford it.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Ganochi,
Alaikum.
2 weeks ago, we were discussing something. I don't remember the question, but you said you were going to take it up the next week, but which was Memorial Day weekend, I guess, So it's now 2 weeks. And we were discussing something about that verse in Surah Rum about, the corruption has occurred in the Bahar and of
Bahar
what our
al-Fasad
hands, for what our
bima
hands have
kasabat.
brought. Yeah. So I don't know somebody has asked that question. I had John a little bit later, so I don't know the context. So, but I'm just reminding you, said we'll take it up next week. So,
I mean, this concept was emphasized in Quran in many places, that you reap what you sow. You get the fruits of your work. Whatever you do, you're gonna reap the fruits or the consequences of that. So فبما كسبت ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. So mischief and corruption spread on earth because of what people do. And we know that this world is full of injustice nowadays, and people are paying the price. So people who are committing injustice are paying the price, and people who are accepting it also paying the price, because that's not allowed in Islam. This idea of minding your own business, or I don't care about what's going on, corruption, injustice, there is no room for that in Islam. This passiveness or indifference or disengagement. And Quran is very clear about this, that the least you can do, you can migrate. إن الذين توفاهم ملائكة قالوا فيما كنتم قالوا كنا مستضعفين في الأرض. We were helpless, we were weak, we could not do anything. قالوا لم تكن أرض الله واسعة فتهاجروا فيها. How can you, I mean, if there is nothing else you can do, is to reject dhulm, injustice and corruption in your heart, not to encourage it. If you are in a country that has corruption, you don't pay bribe, you don't take bribe, you don't do, don't encourage it, speak out against it, advocate against it. That's part of the Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar. And the least or the lowest level is to reject it in your heart. وذلك أضعف الإيمان. Unfortunately, nowadays, it's not happening. People are choosing to adapt to situations, even if it is full of injustice, even if it is full of corruption, and that's making it worse. Because all governments in the world, including democratic governments, they want to expand their powers at the expense of the citizens and the society. The difference between democratic countries and dictatorship is that in democratic countries, people stop the government from abuse, push the government back. In dictatorship, like in most Muslim countries nowadays, unfortunately, people, they just try to adapt and try to take advantage of the system, but they are not in the business of trying to fix it or correct it. Try to get by, and it's a mindset that has to change. It has some religious background, by the way, this idea of obeying those who are in charge, regardless of how they come to power and regardless of what they do, regardless blind and absolute obedience, totally wrong, has no roots in Islam. So it has some religious background. For centuries, scholars were legitimizing corrupt and oppressive regimes and rulers. And it has some cultural. Unfortunately, you know, when you get used to something, and somebody asked me recently about dictatorship and oppressive governments in Muslim world, where it came from. I said, That's the only thing we have seen in all our history. After Khulafa al-Rashidin, it was all dictatorship. So it's not. He said, he said that did the colonialism bring to us this oppress? I said, no. It's in the genes already. And we are used to it for centuries. We were governed by oppressive regimes, and then we were occupied or colonized for about 1 century. And then the dictatorship came in a much worse version of it. Those military dictatorship and sectarian regimes, and very brutal. Totalitarian, even more totalitarian than the dynasty rules, which left some margin for the society. So we only have ourselves to blame. We need to stop finding excuses. We need to stop justifying situations. We need to stop, and we need to think in different ways, because if we're going to think the same way and do business the same way, we're going to get the same results. So we only have ourselves to blame for anything that is happening for us at the personal level, family level, society, ummah, community, you name it. بما كسبت أيدي الناس. That's what the verse says. And that meaning was emphasized several places in Quran. فبما قل هو من عند أنفسكم. It's the work of your own hands. فبما كسبت أيديكم. In another verse, وما أصابك من سيئة فمن نفسك. Anything that goes wrong in your life, you only have yourself to blame. So I don't know. I mean, what else Quran will do other than telling you that you reap what you sow? Until now, unfortunately, Muslims, they are still have that illusion that I can sow, I can plant, what do you call, thorns and reap strawberries. That's not going to happen. So you accept dictatorship, you accept oppression, you accept corruptions, then you take responsibility for that. Yeah, that's what you're going to get, because that's the nature of governments. Governments, they tend to abuse. And we are so comfortable with dictatorship. Anybody who comes to power, regardless of who he is, regardless of what they do, regardless of how they come to power, we are very comfortable with dictatorship. As long as just give us a minimum stability and just some minimum living, and okay, just take it. It's all yours. Why? Because we still think of ourselves as subjects. If you pay attention, you see Muslims and Arabs, all their discussion, they mention their leaders and their president so many times in their posts, in their etc. It's almost an obsession. You don't find it here. You don't find people here talking about Trump all the time. They have their lives, and because they're citizens, they're not subjects. It's not their master. He's not their masters.
But what about a group, say, like Taliban, who may use Ati'u Allah wa Ati'u Rasulu wa Ulul Amri Minkum, and the guy would say, I'm one of that Ulul Amr, and so you must obey.
That's the big problem. It's that Salafi understanding. For Taliban are Salafis. That Salafi understanding, which is very superficial understanding of Sharia, and very twisted understanding of relationship with those who are in charge, which is we elevate them above the Prophet. Even the Prophet, the companion, did not deal with him the way that many people nowadays are dealing with their leaders, whether it is a president of a party or president of a country or emir or whatever they call them, or king. The Prophet ﷺ, the companions used to ask and discuss and have different opinion, and he encouraged them to do that. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a conversation with shaitan, with Iblis, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he prescribes something, he justified, he explained, even though he doesn't have to. And when he tells us that something is haram, he's telling us why. And nowadays we accept Amir or a president or a scholar or whatever, Sheikh, who we just follow what they say with no question asked, which is form of shirk. As the Rasul ﷺ explained it clearly when he was interpreting a verse in Quran that says about people of the book before us, they took their priest and their rabbi as their God. اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم. So there was a Muslim who used to be Christian before. He said, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, no, we never worshipped our priest." So you can see even Quran, people are still asking to understand them. How come Quran says this? So we never worship it. The Prophet ﷺ responded to explain to him what he's worshiping. Worshipping means following blindly. He said, "You did whatever they told you to do." He said, "Yes, that's your فَتِلْكَ عِبَادَتُكُمْ لَهُمْ." That's your worship to them. When you put someone above accountability, when you try to justify everything they say, everything they do, you are praising all the time, you are finding excuses, that's a form of worship. And the Muslim should never fall in that trap, even with the people who are so close to you. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين أو الأقربين, regardless of who is involved, leader, rich, poor. That's what the verse says. You like someone, you hate someone, someone has harmed you before, still you have to be fair. You have to say, this part is good, but I disagree with this. There is no blank check to anybody.
So, Dr. Ganochi, this way, I mean, the spouses can do that to one another, worship this way, from your definition. If you follow, if there's a clash between the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rulings and the wife or husband is saying something else, and you're following that, which is against what Allah is saying, then that is worshiping.
That's not because the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. You cannot, when there is something clear comes from Allah, something different or opposite comes from an individual, regardless, there is no obedience for creations or creations in opposition to the commandments of the Creator. لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. Again, we go back always to the tremendous damage and mutilation that happens to our understanding of the deen, to our mindset, to our personality, that brought us to this point. That we are handed over from father to son, from a dictator to another dictator. We are yet to learn that no, this is not normal. Even if it lasted for 13 centuries now or 14, it is wrong. Nobody should have that right. We should need to go back to the way, at least to the way people dealt with the Prophet. Even though he was used to receive revelation and people were always clear about it. They were dealing with him as two personality in one, two capacities. You are a prophet receiving revelations. You are our leader. In the first part, we don't argue with you because that's a revelation that you receive and then we all follow it. But if you say something in your capacity as a leader, then we have our own opinion. And he encouraged them to do that. He was never offended once he told them, no, this is my opinion. Basically, he was telling them in today's language, no, I am saying this or doing this in my capacity as leader. Oh, I say, okay, then we have different opinion.
So, Dr. Ganushi, this is such an important point. You know, like you said, we have to do our part. So I think if we at least start practicing this rule that you're saying in our own family, you know, that will make a
Absolutely.
huge difference. But
Absolutely.
last time I remember we were talking about the head of the states, you know, the leaders. One leader can really change everything. The head of the leaders are very afraid of each other. Like, you know, recently, I don't know, Qatar gave so many dollars to America. And we were just talking yesterday about Jordan. Somebody, one of my not doctor, Fadia, Sister Fadia, she teaches Arabic in some institute, and a lady came from Jordan and gave a presentation that there is so much dearth of water there, and even they get practically to spend only once, twice a week. So, and we need desalination plants. And I lived in Saudi Arabia for a while. The desalination plants are so expensive. They can give money to, you know, the head of the states for, I don't know whatever their intention. I cannot paste the intention on them. But why can't they donate this to their Muslim brothers? Desalination plants are very expensive. I was looking at it, 300 million billion, you know, $1 million, one desalination. I used to live in Yambo. They had 3 or 4 desalination plants. Israel has one. So, I mean, can't we do at least this?
I mean, you can wish as much as you want, but at the end of the day, we are ruled by people who have absolute power, and when they have absolute power, and then they are rich, then they can do whatever they want. There is the problem is bigger than that. It's bigger than why they don't invest it in with the Muslim country or help Muslim brothers, etc. It's there is someone who is. By the way, this is the hukum, the way the Gulf countries are governed, and the way almost Arab countries are governed, and most Muslim countries are governed. This is exactly the same way that lasted for 12 centuries. It's a one person who has absolute power. They decide war and peace. They decide how to manage the money as if it's their money. And the people accepting that because they see themselves as subjects. This is his. And I heard this word, by the way, from someone from a Gulf country. And then in the 90s, said, Brother Sohail, you are different. You come from a republic, but we are kingdom. And this is his. This belongs to him. So, Jazallah khair, whatever he gives us. Can you believe it? To that point, this is how people think. So,
So brainwashed.
the only difference is someone has resources and someone does not. Like Farid Zakaria one time said, Middle East or Arab world governors or rulers, they're controlling their people in one of two ways. Those who have money, they're bribing their people. And those who do not have money, they are oppressing them. So he said either mass bribery or mass oppression. You go, for example, some Gulf countries, every now and then, they exempt people from all the debts they have to the banks, etc. Every now and then, they give them big increase of salary. So people are happy. They don't ask about what the other money is. I mean, just small comparison. There is a prime minister in UK who used a coffee maker in his office, and people said, where you get this from? I think it was fancy or whatever, was not supposed to be. And then he has to produce the receipt. He said they get it from his own money. And then there is a minister in Sweden, I think she had to resign because she used a credit card or whatever for gas when she did not have anything else to pay with. So even she probably returned the money, but still say should not do that. Compare this to country where people decide on hundreds of billions. Someone gives a gift of 400 billions, airplane, and the others, every one of them, I don't know. Yes, they say it's investment, but investment went through whom? Who decided this? And why? Is this the best place to invest, or that's the best in the best interest of the country, or there are other places to? So that's what happened. I mean, the difference between those and the other rulers, the other rulers, they don't have the billions to give you. So, but it comes down to this idea of we are accepting something that is haram, that does make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not pleased with us at all. Allah praises those who reject ظلم والذين إذا أصابهم البغي هم ينتصرون. Those who are inflicted with justice, they push back, they reject. We're doing something that against the teachings of Islam, something that makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not pleased with us, something that is wrong, something that is causing us harm in the long run, even though it's getting us some peace of mind and some stability in the short run. Because that's what dictatorship brings. Dictatorship brings law and order and stability and minimum type kind of living. And unfortunately, people nowadays, because for a long time, the two choices that were put in front of us is live under dictatorship or go into civil war and bloody and chaos. So that's why the first choice became our favorite, because we cannot see the third one. We didn't. If you read the history from one dynasty to another, Muslims goes through very bloody wars and chaos until another family comes and establish law and order, and they welcome it. Alhamdulillah, and at least we are safe. And when you always think, and you can see, I mean, recently, wallahi, if you look at Libya, it will tell you the whole story. So you are an Arab country, what do you want? Tripoli or Benghazi? Because these are the only two options in the menu. We don't have a third one. So one man show or chaos, and you choose. So it's very sad, wallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Anushi.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have a question related to something you said earlier about, I think, it was 10 minutes ago about accepting, normalizing something that is haram. One thing I noticed is some states here in the U.S., they allow anyone to get a license and sell beer or liquor in their stores. Other states, like in Virginia, you have to have a specific, basically it's run by the state. So, for example, there are states like Illinois, Chicago area, in Florida, in Louisiana, where there are a lot of Muslims, Arabian Muslims, and they sell these liquor and beer in their stores. And my question is, and you find these same people, they sell these things, and then they go to the masjid for prayer for Isha, or you see them in Friday prayer. And you see them fasting and donating during Ramadan. What is the effect, on the community and the generations that come after them? Like, their kids, their families, of normalizing this, and what's the effect on them? What's the effect on the family, on the community? Can you explain that to us, please?
I mean, this is part of the damage that happened to, again, our understanding of the deen and our personality, to the point that we start having some sort of schizophrenia or split personality or double personality. Now, this is, of course, extreme. I mean, selling alcohol, and praying, etc. But other than that, it's very common. Basically, praying and lying, that's very common. Praying and cheating, that's very common. Praying and fasting and doing, but then at the same time, you don't have work ethics. You take bribery. That's very common. And Muslims do not see a problem with this. Why? Because you go back to the roots, you find that they were told that to be a good Muslim, you pray, you fast, you pay zakat, you perform hajj, you stay away from alcohol, and you stay away from zina, and that's it. And then if you want to do more of these, more salah, and more dhikr, and more, and then you're good. Now, akhlaq, muamalat, how you're treating your spouse, how you're dealing with neighbors and children, how you behave at work, has nothing to do. So people, they can really put the different masks in different contexts, which is extremely bad. And the one thing that you notice in most Muslim societies is that people are not themselves. People are living with masks. They always put masks and they deal with each other through those masks. They never express their own opinion. They are not coherent. Their personality is not coherent. And that's very normal consequences of dictatorship. Living under dictatorship, as Kawakibi said in his book, Tabaya al-Istibdad, which by the way translated and is available in English now on PDF, the nature or something of dictatorship. Abdurrahman al-Kawakibi. His name is Abdurrahman al-Kawakibi. You can look it up. You will find it in English, small booklet. He was saying that living under oppression for a long time spoils the manners of people. Teach them hypocrisy, teach them cowardness, etc. Ibn Khaldun, same thing. Made it say القمع يفسد أخلاق الشعوب. People manners. So what you say now, the alcohol, there are some people who don't go as far. There are people who say no, selling alcohol or that's haram, because that's the alcohol for many Muslims. It makes the list. It's part of the list that things that you need to avoid to be a good Muslim. But other than alcohol, and people are indulged in so many things, and they don't see contradiction. Why? Because Islam was not presented to them as a life mission that you dedicate yourself for it, that you are supposed to be working on yourself all the time to be a better version of yourself, that you need to be working on people around you, that you need to work to make this world a better place, that you have to have the highest work ethics, that the highest standard when it comes how you deal at home and with spouses and families and neighbors, etc. Din al-muamala. Some people, it was so frequently mentioned by scholars that some people they thought it's a hadith, that the essence of deen is how you interact with people. I don't care about you spend last night all the night praying, and the day you're fasting, if you're doing all these problems, if you are cheating and if you're lying, if you are don't have work ethics, if you're not honest, etc. I don't care about that, what you're doing. So it's a part of damage happened to understanding of the deen. It's a short list of do's and don'ts, and then you are on your own. And that list was shortened to the point that even kadhib, lying, does not make the list anymore. Lying became okay. Cheating is okay. Bribing is okay. Being lousy in your job is okay. Abusing spouse, all of this did not even make the list. The list became so short. That's part. And then the damage to our personality. The main difference you find between advanced societies and our societies backwards is that people here are themselves. They just express themselves. Why? Because that's how they were raised. That's how they were raised at home. That's how they were raised in school. That's how they were learned how to deal even with police officers and law enforcement. They were never afraid. They didn't have to put mask in front of anybody, starting from family. Family is encouraging them to express their opinion and to be themselves, no suppression. And then they go to school, it's the same thing. And then in the street, nobody can abuse them. So they're not used. They were never forced to put masks. They are themselves. This is who I am. This is what I like. That's what I don't like. That's what I tolerate, what I don't tolerate. But I'm not going to say something different for another person than what I say to you. No. And that's unfortunately living under oppression. And the whole reason why Quran was full about the story of Bani Israel is, I believe, is this one. Bani Israel are people who lived under oppression for a long time that damaged their character and their manners and their personality. So Quran is telling us loudly, don't make the same mistake because you're going to get the same result. And with all the emphasis, because if you think about that's the problem of Bani Israel. The problem is living under oppression for a long time. It's like Ibn Khaldun stated it, قَمَعْ يُفْسِدْ أَخْلَاقَ الشَّعُوبِ. You learn all bad things, all crooked ways, because that's the only way you can get by in a society that is governed by oppressive regime and corrupt. The only way you get by is through crooked ways, not straight way. So you learn that from childhood. So it's a lot. I mean, regardless of what I say, our situation is never hopeless if we accept the brutal diagnosis. If we accept that we inherited a version of Islam that was twisted and mutilated big time over 12 or 13 centuries of dictatorship and oppression and stagnation, and if we accept that because of that, there was a lot of damage that happened to the way we think and the way we behave and our personality and our mindset. Can this be fixed? It can. This deen fixed the problems of the people of Mecca and Arabian Peninsula and wherever it went. This deen went to places where people worship fire and worship idols and worship cows and worship anything. And then in total mess, that society in the Arabian Peninsula and Mecca and Medina was total mess. And this deen fixed it. Fixed those people, fixed their personality, their mindset, gave them a purpose, gave them a mission in life, and that transformed them, changed them completely.
Salam alaikum, brother. I have a question whenever you are available.
Alaikum salam, but we're running out of time.
Oh, inshallah. next week, inshallah.
Inshallah, next time, inshallah.
Thank you.
Salam alaikum.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.